Welcome to Time for Hope, a faith-based mental health program. Join our host, certified clinical mental health counselor and Christian psychotherapist Dr. Freda Crews, and her guests as they discuss real-life issues and offer expert clinical advice and solid biblical application for any and all life situations. Now, here's the host of Time for Hope, Dr. Freda Crews.
We are always pleased to have you join us for another edition of Time for Hope. I'm Dr. Freda Crews, your host, and today I would like to welcome as my guest author, speaker, licensed psychologist, executive director of Heart to Heart Counseling Center, and president of the American Association for Sex Addiction Therapy, Dr. Doug Weiss. Doug joins me today to discuss his new book titled Servant Marriage, which is a revelation of God's masterpiece of marriage. As Doug and I dig deeper into his book, you will be introduced not only to the Father God, but the Father-in-law God as well in your marriage. You will want to stay tuned as Doug and I share practical ways in which you can live out a servant marriage and with God's help, guide you towards a better marriage. Doug, it's great having you back on Time for Hope. Hasn't been too long since you were here.
It's good to be here. No, it's good to be here.
And you're still in Colorado Springs.
Yes.
Yeah, you like it there?
I do, love it.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the scenes you get to see and so forth. It is a beautiful place.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is. When I saw the title of this book, I almost thought, I don't want to do that. I don't like the sound of the book. And I started looking at some of the things in it, and I thought, I'm afraid I'm going to disagree with him too much on some things.
Well,
Maybe
let's
we
talk
should.
about it.
Yeah, we are. That's what it's about, isn't it?
That's what it's about.
That's what it's about. You say that we have a calling in marriage to be a servant to our spouse, right? Now, this is written from mostly from a man's perspective.
I am a man.
Speaking of a wife, you know.
No. That's not right. No, this book's actually for men to get a perspective on how they are to be servants in their home, and how the servant.
Said that.
Oh, okay. I thought you said.
A man's perspective, and that surprised me.
Okay.
In some ways,
Some men get it, Freda.
that a man would volunteer to be a servant to his wife, and you really, before it was over, brought out the whole issue of submission, and which I was happy to have you do that, because I haven't agreed with the most perspectives on that either. And then I thought about Abraham and Sarah, and how that there were times that Abraham just said, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. When she told him to get Hagar and
that was kind of a
Ishmael
mistake,
to get out of there, go, he didn't say anything but you got to go, right?
Well, he listened to her. The first thing he listened to her was when she said, you can sleep with my concubine. He probably should have said no to that. We would have none of the Middle East problems today if we had that. Yeah.
But he suffered through having to say yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, to put him out. You know, that was his son. I know he hated to see him go.
I'm sure.
And all of that. And then you start out with God and creation also, as if God. I don't know how long. We don't know how long he was in the act of creating everything as we know it today. But you seem to say that he was headed finally and eventually towards marriage and the husband-wife relationship.
The whole creation is the frame in which God wanted to create what he looked like on earth as it is in heaven. And so he created Adam, and he didn't immediately create Eve, because he wasn't done when he created Adam, when he breathed breath into him. He had to make Adam a servant. The animals came every day. He gave him responsibility, a job. He gave him the ability to give identity to those around him. And then he was ready for a wife. He had to become a servant before he was ready. Then God created Eve, and then he brought the two together, and then he created marriage, which was his final creative act, was marriage. Marriage is not between a man and a woman. It's between God, a man, and a woman. It's a three-faced creature that loves and serves one another. The Almighty serves us. We serve Him. We serve each other. That's what He had in mind, so that the children of this seed would see this triune relationship and learn how to serve and love one another. So it's a very exciting thing. It was a revelation for me, because I preached about marriage for almost 2 decades before He showed it to me, that marriage was His final creation, not woman.
So you say that that was God's final plan.
Absolutely.
In other words, and putting, having a man and a woman and putting them together.
Yeah,
and her coming out of His body, being a part of His body, and so forth.
But the timing's interesting, because see, when God created Adam, He breathed life into him. He didn't create woman instantly, because Adam didn't have the servant DNA yet. He was just a man. He didn't know how to serve. But once he learned how to serve, he became a servant man. He served the animals. He gave them names. He learned how to serve. And out of that servant man is where Eve came out of. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She got the DNA because he already had it. He had to work for it. She got it out of just getting inherited.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting, too, that he could be a servant to her.
Absolutely. That's our calling.
After she did what she did. She disobeyed God and got both of them into trouble and got us into trouble and so forth. So it's if they were able after that to have this servant calling relationship, it had to be that God enabled them and empowered them to do this.
Yeah, this message of servant marriage goes against the culture of getting married to you make me happy. It's about me. It's about you serving me. No, it's about me and how I serve you well. I am going to get graded on how I serve my wife, Lisa. And if I serve her well, I will hear, well done, good and faithful servant. If I make it about me and I have secular ideas about marriage and I think I'm a king and a ruler and a tyrant, I'm not going to hear, well done, from my God. Because my God is not a tyrant God. He's a servant-hearted, loving person.
But when you talk about serving your wife, are you really saying, though, and this is the big question that I've had from the beginning of your book, are you saying that you are, that you're there just to please her and to, whatever she asks for, she gets, and...
My wife is a servant. She doesn't have that heart. My wife is a very godly woman. She would never impose things on me that she could do for herself, okay? But I get up and do laundry and dishes and take garbage out and do stuff without being told, because I'm a man. I can see what needs to get done and I get it done. Boys need to be told what to do. Men can see what's there and they get it done. So we both are serving each other. So my wife's not kind of like whimsical or something like that. Do you know what I'm saying? If she needs help, she'll ask for it, and it's usually because she's already tried to do it. You know, and I don't expect her to serve me abnormally either, because it's a team sport. You know, it's my house as well as hers, right? Those are my floors, those are my dishes, right? So I should put them away, I should wash them, and if they're there, get it done.
Well, my husband served me.
You should say amen right there, because that's pretty good.
He's been gone 6 years, and he served me by preparing breakfast every morning.
See,
that was one of the ways. Another thing that he did was he did the grocery shopping, which I don't like to do. And there were various ways in which he served me, but it certainly wasn't with washing the dishes and picking clothes and picking up, doing this and doing that. What I made a decision at some point to accept what he did and not ask for any more, do it myself, so to speak.
Okay.
Well,
that's how you served him then.
But I didn't know anything about the whole phrase of servant marriage.
The book came out too late for you, but there's hope for you at home, okay?
Yeah. So anyway, doesn't a wife and a husband have to work this out anyway?
Yeah, they do.
It doesn't come naturally, does it, Doug?
But the ideas they use to work it out are really important. if they really believe that marriage is only between a man and a woman, that's a secular idea. And so they'll come up with hierarchy, monarchy, tyranny, control, manipulation to solve the problem, because the idea base is secular, it's not godly. When you understand that marriage is a trinity, and that God's not just your father, he's your father-in-law, that you are both accountable to him as an in-law, not just as a son or a daughter, it changes the way you do your decision making. And so it's like, I know I'm going to face God for what kind of son-in-law I am, and I want to get a really good grade.
Now, go ahead and explain to our viewers, though, they may not catch this about this son-in-law thing. You're saying that because your wife is a daughter of God, okay?
Right.
And that makes you a son-in-law.
It makes me a son-in-law.
And vice versa.
And vice versa.
It goes vice versa.
Because there's three people in the marriage. There's the father, there's me, and then there's Lisa, right? And so when I married her, I am his son-in-law as well as his son. And so how I treat her can largely determine how he feels about me. I mean, I have a daughter. My son-in-law, 90% of his relationship with me is how well he treats my daughter. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so I know that I need to treat Lisa really well because I reverence the father, okay? He's my father-in-law. And so that's a godly idea. That's a biblical idea. Now, if I'm going to try to figure out how to govern with my wife and how to make decisions, and I have a godly idea as a base, I'm going to make better decisions. If I have a secular idea, I'm going to have the same divorce rate as a secular people because they're operating on the same secular ideas, even though they're believers.
Mm-hmm. They're telling me that it's time for us to go out on a break, and the question I want to leave hanging and come back to is, did this happen immediately when you became married to Lisa? Or was this a later happening?
I'll answer that in a minute.
Okay, and we do have to go out for a little while, and we'll be right back. How can you make your marriage strong? What are some practical, everyday things that you can do to insulate your marriage against divorce? The following are some things you can start on immediately, and they can be solid investments in the future of your marriage. The first one is concern. If your marriage is experiencing a lot of conflict or is not providing the meaning and fulfillment it was intended to, someone needs to express concern for its future. If you have expressed concern and your spouse is unresponsive, pray for direction and take the initiative to get started on securing your marriage. 2, commitment. Recommit yourself to the marriage and to each other. Resolve to stay with the marriage if at all possible, unless it is not physically safe. Commit to bringing God into the situation by submitting yourself, your mate, and your marriage to Him, seeking help, direction, and strength. 3, conflict management. Instead of continuing the circular and never-ending arguments, learn to communicate. Resolve to interrupt the power struggle or the need to control by choosing your battles and being willing to give in when you can, and it will make for peace. If necessary, find a qualified Christian counselor who can acquaint you with some basic keys to good communication. 4, care. A marriage needs lots of tender, loving care. This means that you must be attentive to your partner. You must try to understand his or her needs, and that you must be willing to meet his or her needs for love, security, and personhood within the relationship. 5, compassion. Partners within a marriage will need forgiveness when they offend, understanding when they are difficult, and empathy when they are hurting. These investments in your marriage are activities related to serving your spouse, as our guest encourages in his book, Servant Marriage. A good marriage is worth working and waiting for. Why not get started today? thanks for staying with us as we took a short break. And I'm ready, as I said, to pick up with Doug with that question. And Doug, it was.
Of course not. Of course not.
Did you become a servant immediately after marrying
Well, first
Lisa?
of all, when I got married, this whole concept of servant marriage wasn't even out. So it wasn't available. This revelation is really new. I mean, this book just came out. I mean, God has showed me incrementally. I've always been a good husband, always picked up, done my part, do laundry, dishes. Because that's the way I was raised. We weren't raised, a man does this and a girl does this. It's like we all do everything. And so, but the revelation of becoming a servant grew and grew over time. But that's how it was with Adam too. He had to learn how to become a servant. It takes God a while to take a man and mold him into his image, which is a servant. And when a man knows that's the objective, you might as well go ahead and jump into the training. And the house is a great place to be trained to serve.
I have such a beautiful family background. Mm-hmm. I am so thankful that God allowed me some of the things that I got to enjoy mm-hmm. in being reared. My grandfather was a servant mm-hmm. to his wife and even to his whole family. Mm-hmm. And I thought the world of him. And I do know that he was a Christian and mm-hmm. that he had to learn it from the Lord. Amen. I went home not long ago, which is in Florida, and I wanted my children to have a picture of the church, that my grandfather's church, my grandparents' church that I valued. And so I was around taking pictures because it dated back mm-hmm. into the 1800s mm-hmm. and the pastors on the inside and so on and so forth. And one of my friends that I grew up with and went to high school with, whose dad was sheriff, and then he became sheriff, and he's a member of that church. And he came up to me and he said, "Sister, that grandfather of yours was a saint."
Oh, praise the Lord.
Wasn't that something?
See, servant is a legacy that you can leave. It is something that if you can catch it. If people are serving one another, your children can catch, oh, Dad's serving Mom, Mom's serving Dad. It's something you can catch. Now, you can't catch it, though, if you're trying to keep score and trying to keep everything fair.
Yeah. Nothing's ever really fair, is it?
Well, what's really funny is that we as humans think that we can even calculate fairness. Okay, I have 4 degrees. I can't calculate fair. How do you measure how a woman changes a diaper or washes a floor versus a man who's cleaning their garage, or he's working or doing this, or she's working and creating wealth and managing this? There's no way you can calculate fairness. So that's not the game. If you're playing that game, that's a secular game. You're not smart enough to know what's fair. Yeah. What we can do is serve as unto the Lord. Okay, and do what you're supposed to do that day and get his well done, good and faithful servant. That's what you can hear. I can't figure out what's fair, so I just do as much as I can.
But you didn't do that early on in the marriage.
Well, I didn't. I wasn't ever keeping score. I mean, that's just not my heart. Never has been my heart mm-hmm. towards Lisa. She's really a precious woman. But I do find that some people think, well, I'm only going to do this if you do that. And that's not the kingdom. Just do what you're supposed to do. And if they don't, then that's on them.
Yeah. Well, you also talk about love, the 7 love arrangements.
7 love agreements. Uh-huh.
Or agreements, and you start out with love. Mm-hmm. And this is right out of your book. The fruit of love will usually be inconvenient and costly mm-hmm. For us as we regularly give it to our spouses. Mm-hmm. Day in and day out. Spouse desires hardest love language to give. Our spouse's desires is the hardest love language to give, you say. And then you listed the joy, peace, patience, kindness, faithfulness. And I say you have to pray together for that to happen in a marriage.
You should be praying together every day. But one of the things that's important is your spouse will have an opposing love language. So, like my wife, okay, I'm a really busy guy, so you know what her love language is. Uh-huh. Quality time. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, and for me it's touch, right? So she didn't grow up with touch in her family. So it's expensive to make that exchange sometimes, but that's what God's calling us to.
You're not borrowing this from anyone we know, are you?
No, I'm not. No, that's not the part of the book. The point is taking that idea and saying, listen.
I was thinking of
no, that's Gary Chapman's book.
Yeah,
and that's a good book. But the book illustrates this: is that I wish he would have wrote this chapter in the book, which is your spouse will have the opposite love language. You're going to have to die to yourself to be able to love them. I wish he would have just wrote that one chapter at the end of the book, because I've counseled a couple for 30 years, and they're usually always opposite. So there is an expense to loving and serving your spouse, but be willing to pay it.
Yeah, and the last one, the seventh one, was self-control, which is so terribly important in a marriage, especially if one has an anger problem, or, as we'll be talking about in your other book, is not emotionally fit. Makes it very difficult in a marriage. And then you've got the tips, Doug's tips, which is interesting. And I'm just telling our viewers what's in this book, because I want them to make sure that they get a copy of it. And then you talk about intimacy, anorexia.
Sure.
You want to, go into that a little bit.
Anorexia is a whole other book and stuff, but it's where you actively withhold spiritual, emotional, and physical intimacy. It's couples who can be married for years, but they don't connect emotionally or spiritually or even physically, and they feel very alone in that marriage. And that person really they need to learn how to serve and open their heart and connect and give to their spouse and stop protecting their own heart. Also,
you say that in being a servant, that we feed our spouse and others also in the process. So what do you mean by that?
Well, there's actually two chapters of that, because one is we can feed our spouse our flesh. Selfishness, out of control behaviors, addiction, manipulation, fear, all that kind of stuff. Or we can feed them the fruits of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, kindness. I mean, you talked about your husband making you breakfast. You still remember the act of kindness, because he fed you kindness when he fed you the breakfast. Okay? And we can choose which food we give to our spouse.
He didn't bring it to me in bed, though, like I've heard some people talk about.
Well, he was still generous enough to make it. That's fine.
It was cooked and ready for me when
that's better than some people get.
When I got up. Then how about understanding? And which you say is hearing from the heart when we are listening to our spouse, which is part of the servanthood. Listen.
Yes, when you stand under your spouse, you can really hear them.
Yes, and validating their feelings rather than saying that's not right what you're feeling, and you should be feeling this and that and the other, and then taking responsibility for whatever we played in their negative feelings. Is that what you're getting at? And you say that to do this, we must practice, right? Then having to skip over some things because they're saying it's going to be time for us to go out and end the show. And again, that's why I keep wanting our viewers to know that they can purchase this book, and that the rest of it's in the book that we don't get into. But I want to end with this thought. You said, be aware of your spouse's gifts and talents.
And celebrate them.
Celebrate them. And even help them, carry them out and so forth. And I know that's happening with you and Lisa. I do know that from some things that you said in the book. And our goal is to mutually serve each other sexually.
Yes.
We couldn't talk about servant marriage without bringing up the sexuality.
Yeah.
And even Paul talks about it.
Absolutely.
That you're not to withhold, not to have that anorexia.
That's right.
Sexual anorexia. You're not to withhold the sexual fulfillment from each other.
Absolutely
unless it's for a period of time to fast and get with the Lord and that kind of thing. But I want to end with something right out of your book. Is that okay for you? The servant marriage is a lifelong journey with your spouse. This is your calling to serve them, grow toward them, understand them, and behold God in every phase of marriage.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you feel that we've covered the high lights and the high points in your book, Doug.
You've done a great job covering the servant marriage, and people really, if they dig into this, it can change their lives.
Yes. And again, I encourage any and all of you to make sure that you get a copy of this book, either for yourself or for someone else that you might gift it to. But don't go away. I have some other stuff to share with you. I have a letter from one of my viewers that says, "Dear Dr. Freda, please pray for our marriage. We are separated because we were being unkind to each other. We are having financial problems because I was hurt on the job. I don't feel I have responded in the right way toward my wife." That's a beautiful thing when someone can see that.
He's aware of it.
He becomes aware of it, doesn't he? And admits it, too.
Absolutely. Hopefully
That's hard for a man to do, isn't it?
I think women have some pride too. I don't think it's gender specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want our marriage to be reconciled, and this is the male in the marriage that is asking for this, which in my counseling ministry I found it was usually the opposite. It was usually the wife that was wanting their marriage to be reconciled. So that's probably where I'm coming from.
Probably so.
That you're hearing. And I want you to know that we've already covered this prayer request. We cover each and every prayer request that comes into Time for Hope. And we pray that God has already intervened in this situation for you. And then, and before I go, I have a note of encouragement from a viewer. "Dear Dr. Freda, I love watching Time for Hope. It is an excellent program. Thank you for all you do." And that really is encouraging, and I appreciate that kind of encouragement very much. Any and all of us can use it. Doug can use it in his ministry as well. And then the next thing I would ask you to do is to consider helping us with the expenses of the ministry. We've gone worldwide, and if God would have you do so, we would certainly appreciate hearing from you in a financial way. And then the last thing I have, request I have, is to make sure that you turn in to Time for Hope again next week.
A free fact sheet that contains additional information about today's topic is available upon request from our ministry. You can also receive a copy of today's resource for a donation of at least $19 to the Time for Hope ministry. You may call us at 800-669-9133. Write us at Post Office Box 2169, Spartanburg, South Carolina 29304. Or visit our website at timeforhope.org. When you call or write, prayerfully consider a donation to our ministry. Our ministry's mission is to offer hope to discouraged and hurting people. As we continue to give out messages of hope, a financial gift of any amount to support this ministry will be greatly appreciated. When you do this, you are joining us in offering hope to many viewers seeking help and hope for their situation. This will also enable us to inform and inspire some viewers to expand our mission, as they learn and in turn can minister more effectively to hurting people around them. To see this program again online, go to our website or search for Time for Hope TV on YouTube, iTunes, and Facebook. Until next time, have a great week, and remember, it is time for hope.